Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if reading Naruto son of Hades Percy Jackson. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Roman Trooper and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Ow. Hades winced as a book fell on his head and landed on his lap open. Picking it up, he read the title for the open chapter. Naruto gets a job with Hades. Ah. I wanted Artemis to continue reading. Pouted the love goddess before she summoned a file and began to work on her nails. This will be boring as Hades will most likely have him be doing something boring. I am not boring. The god of the underworld grunted out as he opened the book. Now be silent. Naruto was bored. After everything that has happened over the summer break, school seemed really dull and boring. He wanted an adventure like his brother. No, you don't. Hyper, please tell Percy he can't really communicate with Naruto, will you? You're still mad at him? Just tell him. I have ears, you know. Why are you still giving me the silent treatment? I said I was sorry. One where he could travel and see the underworld too, so he could meet the plant underworld lady in Hades. He could not remember her name and how to pronounce it. Annabeth said that it would be rude of him not to try, but it was so hard. The letters kept on moving around the paper, and whenever he tried to pronounce the wine dude's name or Mr. D, he asked him to never do so again unless he was given warning, so the god could block out the murdering of his name. Most call me by the first letter. Much less of an ear sore. The wine dude nodded. Percy. I'm bored. He complained to his brother who was studying something called pillow something. Anthea's brow twitched as the idea of studying and Percy was uttered into some subject. But it was the last part that made her annoyed. It's philosophy. It was so boring and Naruto knew that his brother needed to get away from the book. It was dulling his brother and turning him into a dweeb. In his mind, Naruto was sure that it was Athena's fault that his brother was studying so hard. It wasn't fair that she was making sure his brother was no fun. Athena squawked. That child. I bring knowledge to the masses and ideas. The education system is based on the works of my children to promote the betterment of your kind. That explains the issues with the American schooling system. Shut up, Apollo. Percy. No, Naruto, I need to get this assessment done by Monday. Go play with your stuffed animal or something and leave me alone. Percy snapped at his brother who was trying to get him to play. Hestia frowned and turned to Percy. Mr. Jackson, I hope you don't act like that with your sister. I won't, Lady Hestia. Good. He was in no mood for Naruto and he had work to do. Naruto stepped back wide-eyed before running off to his mother, lip trembling from the glare his brother sent him. He raced away much to Percy's joy as now the demigod could do some work. Hold, Percy. I wasn't like that with Jason. Thalia said, casuing the child of the sea to sulk. Mama. Naruto cried out to his mother who was reading a magazine. Percy is not paying attention to me. I want to lay with him, but all he wants to do is study. Lay? Zeus asked his brother in confusion. Apollo answered. He must have meant play, but was too upset to say it properly. That it was an error in the author's writing. Sally Jackson groaned and wished for strength to deal with her sons. A part of her wondered if Hera had either cursed or blessed her family. The goddess shrugged off the look sent her way. I may have done neither. As the last few days had been hectic. She was tired and all she wished was for the next few hours to be peaceful so she could relax and enjoy her reading. With a sigh of registration, she turned to her child. Yes, honey, what do you need? Percy won't play with me. Naruto, sweetie, Percy is studying right now and mommy is trying to relax. Why don't you do something by yourself like play ninja with your stuffed animal? Again with the ninjas. Ares noted as he ate a chick leg. Why not a soldier or a spy? Naruto pouted and Sally smiled at the cuteness he was giving her in her mind. Kyuubi is in the washer, Mom. You put him there for his monthly cleaning. Mommy forgot, sweetheart. But you can find something to do. Like read a book, do a chore, or just take a nap, but just as long as you are quiet. But Mom. No buts. Now move along so I can relax. Naruto pouted some more before leaving his mom in the dining room. He stomped past his brother who was deep reading about some old dude and ethics. Old dude? He was one of my best sons. Hermes rolled his eyes. We know already, man. Entering his room, Naruto wondered what he could do. He could practice his powers, but after the event with the Venus flytrap, he wasn't in the mood for plant powers. I am scared to ask, but what did he do? Asked Frank. Says here he nearly killed his brother by summoning a large flytrap that was hungry during capture the flag. Demeter beamed at her daughter. You have such a good child. Thank you, mother. It was meant for one of the other team's members, but Naruto was distracted by HS success and it attacked Percy, who had the red team's flag, making Ares' team the winners. It took the nature spirits and several of Demeter's children to free him in time to avoid digestion. Percy paled as everyone laughed at the idea he was done in by his broth's plant. Ours was the worst of the lot. He was grounded from going onto the roof after he had tried to jump off with a cape to glide down like a superhero. What was that idiot thinking? Hera roared in exasperation. The nearby cloud nymph and his mother stopped him just before he took off. Hera, calm down. I should send her then a reward then. Leaning echolocation was a possibility, but he was supposed to be quiet. Weapon training was banned in the apartment after his brother smashed a very old vase that had been in the family for several generations. Hazel winced as the memory of her mother yelling at her for doing something similar came to mind. Seeing her wince, Frank pulled her into his arms for her safely. I got you. He whispered into her ears. I know. Now he couldn't even practice with toy swords. Blinking, Naruto raced to his toy chest and grabbed his toy bow and arrows. Setting up several targets, Naruto began to work on his aim and technique with the bow. The twins nodded with approval. But soon he got bored. Suoburide, the young demigod, drooled out as he lay on the floor. There's nothing to do now and I am so bored. Looking at his reflection, he wondered if there was anything to do before spotting the painting of the rainbow in the reflection. Racing to his brother's secret money stash place, Naruto grabbed several drachmas and raced out the door to find a rainbow. His mother missed him as she had left the dining room to take a nap after getting bored with her magazine, but not before telling Percy to keep an eye on his brother. It would be some time before the son of the sea noticed that his brother was missing. This isn't going to end well, is it for me, isn't it? Percy said as he could feel the future wrath of his other's mother. Jason patted his back. Oh Iris, goddess of the rainbow and messages, hear me out. Is there anything to do? Amphitrite shook her head. That's not the right way. Amphitrite, my lovely wife dear, you don't expect him to be constrained, do you? No game room rumba for a decade. The Lord of the Sea got depressed from the sharp interruption of his favorite saying and losing personal time with his wife. Naruto asked as he looked into the mist of the rainbow. The hose and mist setting made a simple rainbow, but for his need it had to do. The rainbow shimmered and Iris appeared in it and looked at the demigod. It has been some time since a demigod had requested me by both of my titles. We tried. Percy grunted in memory of the quest to Alaska. I refuse to spend any more drachma to the slacker. Iris is just overworked, that is all. Zeus stated as he crossed his arms. And she has been delivering messages for all of us still. Lisi took over. Frank stated, causing the king of the gods to snap his eyes towards him, glowing. Iris isn't into doing her duties anymore. Frank hoped that no one would snicker at the speak at the end of his sentence. He had nothing to worry about as Zeus clenched his fist. I see, we'll have to deal with her, perhaps demoting her status and giving her title to this Fleecy. She's a nebula, Lord Zeus. Hazel chimed in to help the god. Ah, thank you. As interesting as this might be, but may I? Asked Hades as he lifted the book for clarification. Oh yes, please read on, brother. You're welcome, Lady Iris. Naruto said with a small bow. But can you please help me? I'm bored and there is nothing to do right now here. Iris rolled her eyes and looked at him sternly. I am not a charity worker, demigod, and I am very busy. Do you think that I have time to help you look for something to do? But I thought that you would know if anyone needed anything done. She should. Hush. Well, I do have something, but I don't think that you can do it. You're a little small and young too. Iris paused as Naruto looked at her with hopeful eyes. With a shake of her head she waved a flyer to land in his hands. The details are right there. It pays 35 drachmas and tickets to and from where you need to go for the job. But I must warn you that poof and he's gone. 35 drachmas. I call scam on that. Leo exclaimed as he lifted a finger to the gods. When's the last time you paid us for doing a quest? Do you like living and having a world to live in? Asked Zeus as he lifted his bolt. Leo paled from the implied threat, but then Percy raised his voice. But we need funds to do the quests that you give. Mr. Wosery, Mr. D began. Percy. Whatever, there are job postings that you can take to pay for any trips that require money in the big house. Wait, you mean that we could have had an earlier time with our quests? Annabeth hissed at the god, who shrugged. Yes. Brother, why are you trailing off like that? Apollo asked with a smile. No reason. I better make sure I uncover that job board when I get back to the camp. Naruto grinned as he looked over the flyer. It was a simple job. Some god wanted a demigod to bathe and play with his dog, as it hadn't had the chance to do so for several thousand years. That doesn't sound too bad. Percy remembered the title. Ooh. That dog. Annabeth frowned. Not fair. Lord Hades, are you still MMMPPPHHHH? Percy, you know that she will get you for that. Thalia noted as her cousin gagged Annabeth. Transport to and from the location for whoever took the job and medic care if injured. Free food that will not entrap. The details weren't all that important to Naruto. Naiko shook his head. Idiot. He did a pet wash several years ago with dogs from the shelter and it was so much fun playing with them. And a godly dog has to be even more fun. He thought with excitement as he turned off the hose. Immortal puppies are evil. Dahlia grunted out. 3 of her tunic washings had to be from pee stains from puppies. Pressing the symbol on the paper he felt himself moving to what the demigod thought was his destination, as it was similar to what Hermes did to him, only colder. Blinking his eyes, Naruto glanced around as he stood in the middle of a reverse-color throne room of the gods. So that's what his throne room looks like. Piper noted with interest, causing the god to swell in pride. He missed seeing a figure in the background until the god cleared his throat. Naruto jumped into the air and landed on his rear. "Don't scare me like that." Naruto grunted out as he rubbed his rear. "It's my throne room, brat," stated the annoyed god of death. "I will do whatever I like to demigod as this is my domain," the man said as he sat on his throne. "Hear, hear. Enough, Hades." Hestia softly spoke. "Yes." Naruto mentally named him dark and broody. Zeus and Poseidon burst into laughter. As the dude was covered in the darkness and seemed to be brooding over something. "So, who are you and why are you taking this job? No hero has agreed to it for hundreds of years, ever since the last one had to be rehabilitated." Hazel turned towards her father. "Rehabilitated? So I would be the first, right?" Dark and broody blinked in confusion as he stared at the mortal in front of him. Did he not understand him that this job was dangerous? Nodding his head he winced as the demigod cheered. "Take that, Percy. No one else has the guts to do this." "No one is stupid enough, Naruto. He's not your brother Percy," Renya said to the sea demigod. "Don't make this about me." After making sure he could hear, the god leaned forward to look the demigod in the eye. "No one has the guts as you put it, as they aren't as stupid as you are, hey. And they would not make my home a place to cheer and shout. It would interrupt his brooding time," snickered Demeter. "Why?" Naruto asked in confusion. While the green flames and dark walls were slightly unnerving, the guy in front of him seemed like a cool guy. "Thank you. Is it because you look like you have been living in a hole for gods know how long and haven't gotten a tan? My mom said that everyone needs a bit of sunlight as it's good for you, but in small amounts. I will haunt you, Apollo, if you open your mouth," said an irradiated Hades to the glowing Lord of the Sun. The god flexed his jaw and developed a small irradiation to the brat in front of him. "Do you know who I am?" Naruto scratched his head as he looked at the man. "Nope. What are they teaching the mortals up there?" The man softly spoke as Naruto had to strain his ears to hear him. Standing up, the man walked forward so he was in daylight better. "Now do you know who I am?" "Of course I do," the god smiled before having it fall, and the boy went on. "You're the god of emos, brooding and ninjas." "I am not the god of emos, brooding and ninja. Well, I would mind the last one, but still. Honey, you do brood a lot." "So do you." "Don't yell at her, Hades." Far away in a hidden valley in California, demigods were racing around as an earthquake caused by a loud roar of aggravation struck the city. Taking it as a sign, the children of the gods went on a fast and spent several days trying to appease the gods for whatever they did wrong in the last few days. "We would," flatly stated the Romans. "Wow, you're loud." Naruto deadpanned at the now visibly stunned and irritated god. "Can I do the job now?" "No." "Why?" "Because you're too young. My wife would murder me if I did so, and I need someone to be able to deal with my pet without becoming food." "Indeed," the Underwood Queen said with a grim smile. "It can't be that hard. I bet that I can do such an amazing job that you pay me extra," Naruto declared with pride. "In fact, you will be telling the other gods on what I was able to do if my name isn't Naruto." Hades passed the book to his wife and covered. "I can't. I don't want to know." "Okay, you can leave so we can learn. Just read." "Alright, dear." "Oh no, if I let him near by order I could take millions of years to reform." "While I nod for your enthusiasm, I think it best if you went. Where did the kid go?" "This is going to be good." Hermes stage whispered to Apollo, who nodded back. "Thanks for leading me to his pet, Miss Fury. I thought I would never start with how that guy was trying to get me to drop the job. Is he Hades' janitor or something?" "No, I am not." "And wipe those grins off your faces." Snort. "No, he is just upset with all the filing he had to fix after Hermes came over and booby-trapped his filing rooms." Hermes paled as Hades snapped his head and glared at the god of messages. It had taken him weeks to clean up and now he knew who to blame. As she led the boy towards where he was meant to go, the youngest Fury wondered why her boss would let such a young demigod go near the guardian of the underworld. "You have everything, yes? To clean and play with the dog?" "Yep." Naruto lifted his bag full of what he picked out to work with the dog. "I can't wait to get started. I love dogs." "Not this one, you aren't. He hasn't got the best personality and hates baths." "I can't imagine why." Hera snorted out. Hades rolled his eyes. "Do you know how much it costs to import water? Clean water? I had to cut costs somewhere." Hums with the job. Tcphone wished that she didn't have to deal with this demigod as he was irrationing and so sunny. Why did I have to go first to the lunchroom today? Which is stocked with fruits and veggies topside mother. Good. Arhuo. Doggy. Wait. Slow down. Tcphone called out as Naruto raced ahead to get close to the doggy. The Fury cursed as she followed, wings heaving as she followed after the quick-moving boy. Cerberus pawed the earth as he waited for that nice girl to come back and play with him. Annabeth gasped as she freed herself from her BF. I miss you too, boy. Naiko turned to her. You want to take the job? Why not you? It looks like he would love you more for it than me, and he ate Skeletor. Boo. I frisked skeleton that I summoned. Frank nodded in sympathy for Naiko. He remembered Gray, a loyal skeleton friend. His heads took turns watching the fairy leave back to the top world and the spirits that came off. His tail wagged back and forth and his left head howled again for the blonde girl. Then a new scent filled his noses and his ears perked up. Doggy. Cerberus's tail began to wag his tail as he heard the sound of footsteps and yellow hair came his way. He was so excited that he did not understand why the girl was coming. Hums from his mother's. Aphrodite smiled, so he's going to be a pretty boy. But until then, like his Japanese name, what was it again? Apollo. Kawaii. Thank you. Kawaii. From the one mother said not to chew. The anteater. Snickered the big three. Cerberus' heads tweaked to the sides as the scent of the mortal reached his noses. Why was the girl smelling like a boy? Cerberus watched as the boy-smelling girl-looking mortal come to a stop in front of him with confusion. Why was there no running and screaming? He loved playing tag with mortals and the treat he got afterwards, they always vanished before he was done playing. So he's an immortal puppy that wants to play that just is all daisies and roses now. Deadpanned Ares, who then blinked and grinned. That's wicked. Indeed. Agreed Artemis, frowning at the idea of agreeing with her brother. She then shook her head at Thalia, who also connected the dots with a new O. Can you explain please? Percy asked. It's a secret, Percy. Big dog. Naruto deadpanned as he looked at the large dog in front of him. He was thinking that dark and brooding dude was wanting him to deal with a normal dog, not the awesomely large three-headed dog laying there. Well, it is awesome. Hades said proudly. His eyes shone like stars as Naruto looked at the dog he was being played to clean and bath. I'm Naruto, what's your name? Arf. Naruto laughed as the noses of the monster tickled him. Tcphone watched as the guardian of the underworld interacted with Naruto as the boy held onto the middle neck. I am not getting paid enough for this shit. I pay you a generous stipend and board. Hades hissed. Perhaps I should cut it for a year to teach her. No. Stop, heel. Naruto yelled as the Cerberus raced through the streets of law, bulldozing traffic as it raced. Hades paled several shades of white as his brothers turned reddish purple. Hades. Other me. No, not me, it is his fault. Popcorn anyone? Asked Demeter. Several demigods and gods' hands rose. Naruto held onto the leash with all his might as the giant dog ran. Cops jazzed a duo as Naruto tired to hang on. This needs music. Apollo stated as a mini-movie of Naruto tearing though the city appeared. Bad doggy. Sparks flew as the bronze shield Naruto was using as a board scraped a squad car as the monster jumped over it, Naruto following. The reason he was being pulled at 65 miles per hour though law. The three-headed dog got too excited when Naruto brought out the leash. Hades was near unconscious with a white wisp floating out of his mouth as he thought about the damages. The streets burned as multiple car wrecks littered the path as the dog moved towards somewhere away from the entrance of the underworld. Percy winced as his friends eyeballed him. So Percy, think he's that universe version of you? Asked Hazel. No, Percy's luck isn't as bad. Mr. D grunted out before wondering why he was thinking of himself as Mr. D and not what was his name again. Naruto cursed with all the bad words he knew as he ducked to avoid some giant drool. The leash chafed at his hands as the dog did a sharp turn and finally exited the city. The demigod cried as he was sure he was going to hear about the damage the dog caused to the city. Jiren going to have his hide. Piper noted with a wince. I can't wait to tell Kyuubi when I get home. The young demigod though as he felt the dog slow down near a stream. You down running now, boy? The monster dog waved its tail and barked. Reaching into the satchel, he brought out extra large dog treats and tossed them to each head. Don't reward him. Yelled Hades in horror. You're not so bad, you know that, right? You just wanted to get out of that place, huh? He asked amused as the dog began to roll in the grass. Walking over, he began to rub the dog's belly. Cerberus paused in its actions before thumping the ground with one leg, Tounges hanging as the mortal rubbed him. Who's a good dog? Escha grinned at the image. Cute. Hey. Step away from that monster. Naruto and Cerberus blinked and looked up to see several boys armed with golden spears standing around them on horseback. And now he's interacting with Romans. Well, Hades, it seems, is he okay? Apollo looked over his uncle. He's still here. Shuddered Jason. I'm the commanding officer, not some snot-nosed brat. Naruto took note as the one who called out to him seemed to shrink back while gritting his teeth. I'll look at it, little Jason in his uniform. Gushed Thalia. I know. Squealed Piper. Percy, Nico, kill me no please. No. Came the response. You there, boy. What is your name and why is it you are with this monster? Another voice spoke up from near the collar of the Cerberus could be seen. Sir, this isn't just any monster. It's the one that guards the underworld. Naruto nodded his head. Yeah, I was hired by old brute face. So I'm no longer the broody one. Grind to see God. To play with his dog and bathe him. Now who are you? My family's forefather hired you? I doubt it very much, as the gods would never have allowed such destructive behavior happen. Pluto would have had one of us take the job, not you. He's tried and you lot refused. Hermes grunted. Sir, I think he is telling the truth. Prosperous. The brat here is too young to do it, and last I checked there was no recruits after that attack last week, led by a rogue child of Mars. So you too, huh? Asked Annabeth to Renya. She nodded. Luke was able to gain support from our camp as well, mostly rouges and criminals. And several now destroyed houses. Jason added to the list. Naruto rolled his eyes as the group began a heated debate over what to do. He could sense they were demigod, of course, their words were very clear at that, but he didn't know them. Perhaps a rogue group that found a hidden cache of enchanted gold. Frank rolled his eyes. Not rouges. The one called Jason seemed important somehow, and a part of Naruto's blood was boiling at his sight. Hera's influence, no doubt. Athena noted with approval. She was still coming over from being upset with the Romans. Cerberus watched with bored eyes before moment caught its eyes. Pat. With no warning, Cerberus raced after the car with the acceleration of a race car. Naruto and the group of rogue demigods cried out in shock as the dog darted between the horses, Naruto being dragged behind with his leg trapped by the leash. Oh, that's smart. Ares winced. Cerberus didn't listen for the cries to stop as he gave chase to his brother, who wasn't as happy to be chased by his canine sibling. The massive lion was in high gear to avoid his brother's triple tounge bath. "Get him, boy," yelled Percy and Thalia, who both remembered the lion. Jason and the rest of the Roman demigods watched as the unknown demigod disappeared in a dust cloud. As he did, Jason was sure he would meet the demigod again. Unfortunately for Jason, his horse chose to buck and he landed in the middle of Cerberus shit. Poseidon. What? Hades was crying as he looked over the bills for the damage caused by the demigod on the world above and the underworld. His brother was going to be in a pissy mood. I am. As the Cerberus wasn't meant to leave the underworld. To make it worse, the Greek had met Jason, Grace and the rest of the patrol of Roman demigods. Groaning, he wished that he didn't give that flyer to Iris to deliver. It was meant for a more mature hero or some minor immortal. Not some brat, no matter how entertaining. It is. Grinned the duo of Funaka, Hermes and Apollo. And 3,000 for the production of new cars for the LAPD. Hades cried as the dollars left his other's vaults. Naruto was right, this wasn't going to something he could hide from the gods. And wish how happy he was to take the job the god was sure to try and bribe him to stay away for as long as possible. Enough to keep him away until death and then out ASAP. Sir, the wine god's grape fields are destroyed. The wine. Curse you, Nathan. Naruto. Not helping happy. It's Hephaestus. I the Cerberus when it was chasing me in. I hate this job. That. Was. Awesome. Exclaimed Leo. Is there more? No. Cried out Hades. He meant the story, dear. And no, not yet, Leo. Let's get back to the regular story first. Thunder boomed as rain fell on the roof of Mount Olympus, the replica that is. Emerald flames flickered in the braziers surrounding the room as a pale hand tapped on the table. Why? Hades's eyes twitched as he looked around the room. Are we doing this here? To get into the spirit of Halloween. Apollo cheered. Tonight the gods and demigods were in Hades's home to celebrate the eve of the Day of the Dead. In any other circumstance, Hades would have been glad to see his family visiting, any other being the point. Souls were partying all across the underworld as the fairy led in the newly dead as his daughter summoned ghosts to go to the mortal realm to celebrate. His brother, all's happy, wasn't here but still on his mountain. The reason he said was he wanted some treats. Only his water-bound brother came because as Poseidon's words, it's Halloween. Just don't think of the cost, honey. His wife said as she kissed him in her Bride of Frankenstein costume. Hades grinned at her. As long as you don't mind your mother. Hades. Why are you have? I'll try, dear. Persephone deadpanned before waving their daughter over. Melina was enjoying scaring the demigods little too much for her liking. It wasn't proper at a party, especially as Hermes was trying to one-up the goddess of ghosts. Honey, how about you tell or read a story now? Hades frowned. I do not tell stories here, my queen. Besides, I have to keep track of all the souls during the party. It's not easy. Melano, having walked over, opened her mouth. So let me do it then. 5 minutes later. This wasn't what I meant. Griped the immortal as she held a book in her hands. Too bad. You're reading now and it's about a Halloween at the camp. Hades stated as everyone sat down to listen. It was October 31st, Halloween day, and the camp was in disarray. As campers ran every which way. For none could have guessed that what they needed was lost. Was the remote that let them watch films that they loved the most. Now sit back, relax as I tell the tale. Of how 3 children sent the gods into a spell. Joy. A dry sigh came from the Lord of the Dead. Naruto, in his costume for Halloween along with Charles Beckendorf, got out of the taxi in front of an old smith shop. The duo were on an important mission as it was movie night to celebrate the holiday, and Mr. D took the remote for the mega TV the cabin 9 campers had been working on by quote-unquote mistake. You have a TV? Percy asked Leo as he tried to ignore the mist hands of the dead that tried to touch him. Leo snorted. Dude, really? Of course we do. Most thought the god took it to keep Chiron from watching TV while he was sick with a cold. Naruto learned the reason was Apollo losing a date with a teacher who had a crush on Percy's former Latin teacher. The god was petty upset as he thought he could sweep her off her feet, only to have a bowling ball smash his ride when he tried to play it cool with a woman who was still upset that she had yet to hear from the trainer of heroes. Percy, you common cold. A sarcastic Apollo said as he shied at his costume's belt. Perhaps he shouldn't have been Van Helsing this year. So this is your dad's workspace? Naruto asked as Charles opened the door to the warehouse. The older boy shrugged his shoulders. One of his sub-locations. Mom met him here when she had a broken down car. He mostly lets us come and use his workspace for a small fee or something as he is supposed to be a car repairman. Itch to remember each location. The god of messengers thought. Why not that Mason blacksmith shop on? Because, a gruff voice boomed from under a 2001 Saturn, interrupting Naruto. That was a gift to a lover I had when I had my first kid here in the so-called New World. Can one of you pass me my 8/13 wrench? Blinking, Naruto passed a wrench to the hand sticking out from under the car. Only for the god to toss it back. I said 8/13, not 7/12. Uneducated fool. Hephaestus offhandedly said as he fine-tuned his steampunk Iron Man suit. Here it is, Pops. Charles handed the correct tool to his father while patting a depressed Naruto's back. It's okay, they both look similar to someone who doesn't use tools often. Naruto. What's the difference? Percy asked only to get shoved by this firesmith friend. The dejected Naruto nodded his head. After all the time at camp, Naruto hoped that his help with the smith's work would have made it easier to help their father, but apparently not. To Naruto, family was extremely important, and while he wasn't related to Percy by mortal standards, he was related to his brother and everyone at camp by the mythos of the Greeks and was determined to defend his family. The goddess of ghosts paused her reading to take a sip of water. Looking around, he noticed an odd pile of trash. Walking over, he began to look though it. See anything you like? At the sound of Hephaestus's voice, Naruto squeaked and turned to see the twinkling eyes of the god before him. A full belly chuckle came off the god's lips as he viewed the young demigod before him acting like a scared mouse. That's all going to the dump later, but if you want you both can go though it if you want. Annabeth frowned at the bad storytelling and tried not to focus on the spiderwebs around her. It would be right to freak in the home of the Lord of the Dead after all. Are you okay with that, Lord Hephaestus? Waving his hand, the god walked back to his project. I need the space for a new project, so you both can take what you like. We were looking to see if you had a spare remote for movie night. Are you saying that you don't want to see what I'm not needing? I'm sure I have a spare remote in there now. Where was I? Yes, the god disappeared around a pile of bolts and scrap, and the two demigods looked at one another, with the head camper biting his lip before nodding. It wouldn't hurt to look though, the scraps. Right? I say that they activate the Terminator versions of the bulls. Jason said as he took a sip of juice served by Hestia. Or a giant robot. Thalia said as she recalled that particular time on a quest. Hey Zach. You free for a sec? Zach blinked his eyes as he looked up from the magic formal book he had borrowed from Athena's cabin after enchanting James' glasses to make reading in the dark possible without a light source so James could get around Annabeth's policy of no reading after 10 p.m. What's with the box of parts, Charles? I thought you and Naruto were only going to get a remote. That's why children of Vulcan are never told of Home Depot. They'll never leave. An amused Hazel spoke. Huffing, Charles placed the box down. Dad had a bunch of scrap he was going to throw away and let us take some. No remote, well, not all of one, but that where you come in. Came the unelegant reply from the camp enchanter. Naruto hopped from one foot from the other. I was wondering that with your magic and beckoned. The tearful Mr. D smiled at the murder of the Smith child's name. Just call me Charles if you can't get my name right. Charles' skills as in engineering we could make the greatest remote for the moves. Well, I got nothing to do till tonight anyway. What could happen? Zack asked before wincing. I didn't mean it. Naruto was confused. So you won't help us? No, I mean yes no. Wait ga. Far away from the castle a certain dog whined as he tried to ignore the smell of yummy food from the Dark One's home. 3 sets of ears listened as the cute playful blonde voice echoed from afar. Perhaps he should join them. Poseidon stared at his hand as the Cyclops added 3 chips to the pot. The annual poker game this year was challenging as Frodo, Cyclops child of Dionysus, and a nymph granddaughter of Apollo was in the game this time. Usually Frodo ran the bar for the miners and rented out his space for the poker game for the past century. Frowning he tossed in the same amount plus 2 more. As the nymph next to him folded the sea god wished that he was trick-or-treating like the mortals would be. Even if the holiday wasn't like the celebrations Greece had it was still fun. Sipping his drink the god tapped the table. "Aye. The pirate captain god of the seas," said as he scratched his beard with a hook. "This is good. Also the game after several cheaters got banned." "We didn't cheat." Hermes Mr. D yelled out. "So how about we raise the stakes my lord?" Frodo tapped his mug before drinking it. Poseidon tried not to think of the rum he lost last round from 1598 to the barkeep. "If you bet on the next hand to let me operate without paying tax for the imports for the next year alongside access to the game room for a week for my stock of 10th century nectar wine. I'll accept the import cost not the game room Frodo. But why would you want? Detective Slaughter shut down my mind source during a fight. That son of Ares is a pain in the ass." "Jackass detective more like it." Hermes growled. Several of his more interesting children were put in the slammer because of the son of Ares and his partner. Oh. Poseidon knew of the son of Ares, much to his immortal blood wished he never had. Unlike most children of Ares Slaughter like being a cop for the NYPD instead of a solider and dangling gang members from high-rise windows along with other things. Percy rubbed his head in thought. Wasn't there an article on him? Yep. Apollo said simply and left it at that. I'm in. 5 minutes later. Poseidon cursed as he walked out of the bar into the sea. After losing the last hand he knew it was best to leave before his losses increase more. Moving along the lit path he watched as several nymphs swam on by towards the spa. As much as he wanted to the sea god wasn't in the mood for a spa. Or nymphs. The sea god didn't notice a shape above him. Nor in his distracted state take note that is wandering that he was moving to the outskirts of the city. Oh joy. Shut it ghost gal. Why are we watching this again? Even I know this movie isn't at all accurate and scientifically correct. SSSHHH. Percy, let's just enjoy this while we can. I think that he's right. Annabeth turned to glare at the nymph who spoke. The nature spirit did not pay any attention other than pout as one of her sisters took Naruto and placed him on her own lap. Why this movie anyway? I lost a potential BF because he freaked when I brushed his leg in the 90s. Jaws? The Romans asked to Annabeth who nodded. Jaws. Charles lifted the remote. Why don't we change it? I'm not sure that I can finish this. Flick. Zeus groaned and rubbed his head as he headed to his main residence after being forced to listen to another copyright case between Apollo and Hermes. He would have preferred to have done it on the mountain, but to his irritation, it had to be a moral courtroom. I can't wait to sleep in my own bed tonight. Seeing the open door of his temple he smiled and closed his eyes as he walked up the walkway into his temple. Or at least he tried. Bam. Zeus cursed as the doors suddenly slammed closed on his face smashing his nose. Number. The Lord of the Sky, cursed as he held his itcher dripping nose. The partygoers all snickered. How about this? An Apollo kid snorted. That movie stinks. Change it. Click. Seeing the opening door Zeus idly wondered if the automatic opener was broken. Note to self, check to see if I fried the circuits again, then blame it on faulty wiring. That's just wrong, Leto said as he stretched out on the sofa. Getting up he was about to step through the doorway the doors once again closed, this time hitting his foot. No. Came the unanimous call of the demigods and nature spirits. Zeus stared with lightning flickering in his eyes as his temple doors opened and closed as if it had a mind of its own. He had an idea that it was Hermes or Apollo who rigged this little prank up to prevent him from getting his rest. Flecking his jaw the Lord of Thunder glanced around to see if anyone was watching. Seeing the coast was clear the god walked away from the door to get some distance. Pride and Prejudice. Interjected Apollo before being blasted by Melano. Apollo and Hermes glared at one another as they drank in the local pub. Well, the brothers were usually on the best of terms for the vast majority of the time ever since the events in France. The brothers fist bumped with grins. The dynamic duo were spending the holiday trying to see if they could do something to get over the lawsuit. This is your fault you know. Apollo grunted out as he waved over the barkeep to refill his glass. My fault. grunted the god of messengers as looked away from the mid-20s raven head who was not so secretly flirting from across the room to the god. If dear old dad. Apollo cut off his brother. Not that. The reason we're here on Halloween instead of being at the woman-hosted collage party. Dude, what? Apollo gasped at his bro. What did you do? Nothing. I want to go. Melano stated at the idea of all those women as the gods of the sun, and messages were dragged out of the room by Hades. Hermes snorted as his brother began to complain about all the hotties they were missing out on. Getting up, he made sure he had his game face on and approached the women who turned out to be dressed like a ninja or one of those women from Mortal Kombat. Katana, or was it Melina? He forgot which was which. You're being watched, you know. That was not an opening line he was expecting. Excuse me. There are pickup lines to date a god. One lost child of the sea said. You're being followed. Not that you'll notice in any case unless you knew what was following you. The woman said as she sipped her drink. Glossy eyes peered up to the god as he felt a shiver down his spine. This mortal was dangerous. The lonely assassins are after you. The lonely assassins. Hermes repeated in confusion. Melano grinned as a swarm of bats entered then exited the room, scaring the demigods. The woman nodded. They are lonely assassins, that's what they used to be called. No one quite knows where they came from, but they're as old. Almost as old the existence, or very close. They have survived this long because they have the most perfect defense system ever evolved. They don't exist when they are being observed. The moment they are seen by any other living creature they freeze into rock. No choice do they have, it's a fact of their biology. In the sight of any living thing, they literally turn into stone. And you can't kill a stone. Of course, a stone can't kill you either, but then you turn your head away. Then you blink. Then, oh yes, it can. They are after you, you have something which they desire. I had chills go down my spine. Frank whispered to his girlfriend as he attempted not to focus on the face of the goddess had on. Okay, creepy time is over now. Hermes walked away from the crazy mortal, so must have had too much to drink. He only went a step before the woman grabbed his arm. Don't blink. Blink and you're dead. They are fast. Faster than you can believe. Don't turn your back. Don't look away. And don't blink. Good luck. Releasing him, the woman went back to her drink as if she wasn't just sprouting nonsense. Shaking his head, Hermes walked back to his brother, who finally noticed he was gone. So you struck out, little bro. Yeah, you could say that. Hermes bummed out as he sat down. Out of the corner of his eye, the god saw a statue of a weeping angel on top of the church across the way. Nico snickered at the idea. If they weren't automatons, then they weren't dangerous. He didn't notice the weeping angel in the corner turn its head. Zack blinked as he saw the remote room's glow before fading. It was probably nothing to worry about after all. Magic, oh he Kate and I do love our summoners this time of year. Artemis and Zoe walked through the convenience store shopping for candy. Normally the goddess would not be shopping for candy, but Hestia had asked her a favor to have her hunter this year help some children in need have a good year trick-or-treating, and also one of the children who needed chaperoning was a young mortal who was a fan of the goddess of the moon, wouldn't make it past his next birthday. Hestia bribed, Aka threatened Artemis to make this night special before he had to move on. She had tried to say Apollo could help, but her brother said that there was nothing he could do. Demeter cooed at the mentioning of her niece. Artemis wasn't with them as she was on a hunt for candy. Artemis whimpered at the sight of all the candy she couldn't have this year. Halloween was the best night of the year as she would go trickster-treating with the hunt, usually as a female Robin Hood and her merry women. Maybe win a prize or two. It was also the only time where she didn't hunt monsters after she discovered the mortal tradition by shooting what she thought was a sickly horse. To this day she still maintained that she was drunk that time. Irshad. Coughed the Lord of Wine. Shaking her head, she made sure that they had most of what they came for. Now she needed an outfit for herself and Zoe for the party Hestia said to go to. UARTY, check out this outfit. And this night has gotten worse. Glancing over to the costume rack, Artemis shivered as the third member of the group held up a sexy witch outfit. Aphrodite had insisted on coming along as she loved the holiday. While she didn't care for most of the activities, Aphrodite did however enjoy the feeling of love families had on the night celebrating their deceased members. Usually the goddess celebrated at a party with some mortal she picked up or was a part of a group Halloween event. But this year the goddess of love was a part of Hestia's make children happy scheme. Both goddess called a truce to their normal banter as they plotted to get Hestia with a trick this year. As the old saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. To do this they agreed to win the annual Best Group Costume Award this year. Hades was hosting with Hestia in New Orleans. And speaking of the underworld king. Run Hermes, run like never before in your life. The god yelled to himself as he and his brother Raku through the underworld as the king blasted away with blots of darkness on his three-headed dog while crackling like a god possessed. I am not wearing that thing. I did agree that I would not be in your words an old prune, well you also that you'll make sure that we don't look like some dude's wet dream. Artemis hissed as she stared at the twin play bunny outfits in horror. Zoe noted Chikyo make sure that she did not laugh or curse. But Artie dear, Aphrodite whined out in frustration. You said that you didn't want to dress up as Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. Or as female versions of Dracula and Van Helsing. Then there was the… I get it. The goddess of the moon quickly said as not to get into the tangent the love goddess was getting into. Why not do Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Zoe asked as she placed another bag of Tootie Rolls into the cart. Or something like a Disney princesses like Mulan and Sleeping Beauty. The queen of the underworld covered her mouth not to laugh at the idea of her sister being a helpless princess. Aphrodite blinked and rushed into the costume area as Artemis looked at her lieutenant with a distressed look. Disney princess really? What else am I to say about Apollo's new show, Once Upon a Time? Nothing but more of his son's work for subjugating young girls into believing that they need a male to come save the day. Annabeth growled at the slander to a favorite of hers. I heard from him that the protagonist is a strong-willed woman. Artemis muttered as she went back to the list. Yes. Poseidon walk on the path overlooked the construction for a new turret for the city wall, as in young nymph did the finishing touches before dropping her tool. Thus did not at first alarm the god as this was a hazard. However it wasn't normal for a spirit of the sea to be gone for more than 5 minutes. Poseidon took note as the one missing was a relative to his wife by descent of blood, though one of her sisters. Hestia smirked at her brother who blushed and looked away. Just when I needed to get ready for the party. He thought as he moved to where she was swimming before stopping. Eyes narrowing he summoned his trident as the indisputable sight of bloody water rose up from the depths. Play Jaws theme song. Moving though the water the god swam over the wall that separated his kingdom from the chasm formed by the continental shelf. Down below in the dark where mortals could not see without their technology the god of the seas saw the injured body of the nymph floating with a dark shape circling her. Quickly reaching the young nymph Poseidon began to race back towards the city. The god knew that there were some things that he cannot fight without being prepared and carrying a subject who couldn't fight alongside fighting a monster in its territory was foolish. Glancing back god cursed as the shape of whatever attacked the nymph grew ever closer. Shifting her weight the god blasted at the shadow with his weapon but missed as it moved out of the way. The god knew he was being hunted by an apex predator as everything in the surrounding area was hiding it fleeing. Taking his eyes off the monster to look and see how far he was from delivering her to safely so he could focus on removing the threat. That was a mistake. Looking back the god's eyes widened and he jerked his body to the side as the giant shark barreled past him with jaws opened. He knew the monster. Morals would call it a megalodon, but he knew it as once the son of his little brother. Achilles. Then Jaws theme song. Hyper snuggled next to Jason. Before anyone asks, Achilles was a son of Zeus who was turned into a shark. Mom turned him after he was too boastful of his looks. I hate him. Poseidon grunted out. Mortals keep finding his teeth every time I find that fin soup demon shark. Charles and Zach looked over the remote that they had cobbled together using material supplied by the former's father. Naruto and Beckendorf found several parts of a remote for Zeus's old TV he blasted with his weapon because his favorite team lost the World Series, Apollo's old Game Boy Color, a calculator that Athena smashed into a wall, an old WW2 field radio that Ares took, and a beat-up mini R2 unit for Comic-Con 2003. Sparks were flicking out of the mechanical device as the duo tried to understand what was wrong with it. Oops. The Lord of Smith said. He forgot that some of those things he was meant to repair, not give away. My bad. New rule. The goddess of ghosts said firmly. No. More. Interrupting. Me. Check the wiring on the side Bekender, I think the heat is warping the runes here. Zach said as he triple-checked the rune sequences. One moment, I have to redo the processing system and replace the buttons here. The smith grunted as he worked. He was missing his favorite episode that was perfect for the holiday. Got it. Zach nodded as he took a step back and frowned. That's not good. That's not good. That melted rune there. That tied the magic to the remote to act as a universal translator to make it work on any television we wanted to use, but he trailed off into silence. Go on, what's the rune? Asked Piper with Annabeth nodded her head in agreement. But what? The son of Hecate gulped. Well it could have made whatever was on come to life. Beckendorf laughed at that. Dude, if Halloween movies were coming to life wouldn't the camp be the epicenter? Well Zach couldn't find fault with the logic of that. Halloween was a magician's best night for spell casting. His father met this immortal mother on Halloween night after trying to use an old magic scroll. She took the scroll after having in his words hot magical sex. Aphrodite hummed as memories of magic bedroom escapes filled her mind. So many raunchy ways to use magic. You're right but I think we should be ready for an attack just in case. 10 fields away from Camp Half-Blood. Demeter screamed in terror as her scarecrow in her pumpkin patch chased her with her father's original weapon. Behind it an army of angry carpoi of various holiday vegetables and fruits dressed in costumes, all singing off-key "This is Halloween." Hades looked at his sister/mother-in-law. Is she still with us? I think so. Apollo waved his hand in front of her face. She might be in shock. Hades. I know this is your fault. The goddess roared at the ground as she blasted at the scarecrow. Here I thought she would be yelling at me. A pleased Hades hummed as he summoned his favorite ice cream treat to his hands. They're probably right. Hera hummed a tune she heard from the coffee shop on 13th and Park Avenue that she loved, carrying some of hers and Zeus's favorite pastries. Some nice pumpkin pies and zucchini bread with apple cider to celebrate the holiday. Yum. Came the chorus of demigods. Turning around the bend to her husband's temple she heard a bang and Zeus's body flew past her. Looking over her shoulder Hera saw him with his rear in a wall stuck. What happened to you? Did your favorite decide to punch you? The king of the gods wondered if that was a trick question. Zeus wiggled himself out of the wall. No. I have been trying to get through the doors of my home for the past hour with no success. Hera pursed her lips. Sure. I'm not crazy. Zeus snapped as stood up. Watch this. The god of madness looked at his father out of the corner of his eyes. You sure? I can increase your sentence if you're implying what you're implying, boy. Righto. Hera followed her younger stressed out brother and husband to the entrance of his building, rolling her eyes. I should probably make sure that he won't do anything more stupid than the usual. Walk to flew feet she smacked her face. And you love him all the same. Teased Hestia making Hera sputter. Apollo was getting annoyed. Would her stop that? He roared. Hermes' hand shot out and grabbed his brother. SSSHHH. Moving the hand away Apollo looked at his brother. What is it? We are being followed. Apollo blinked then looked around. All I see is that weeping angel over there in the cemetery. It's been following us. Artemis shuddered. She hated statues in America because of that British TV show Hermes brought over. Made it harder to hunt Medusa for a time, as the snake would use stone angles to scare her huntresses. Hermes, relax. Why don't we call it a night and meet up my sister and Hel to the party? Apollo stated as he placed an arm around his brother, turning him away from the statue. They only went a few steps when they heard the shattering of glass underfoot. Hermes. Yes, brother. Was that you? No. You. Both paused and turned around and screamed as the statue that was in the cemetery was now behind them, no longer weeping, but instead a monster statue with fangs and claws. Both gods screamed and raced backyards while not looking away from the stone thing. Wimps. Ares grunted out. We can't look away. Why not? Hermes asked Apollo as his eyes began to water. It will kill us if we look away. And don't blink. You're gods, you can look anywhere without looking, I thought. Percy stated. He got a black stare from all the immortals before the book's page was turned. What? Okay Zeus, show me that you aren't crazy. Hera said as she sat down on the ground to see if her husband was nuts. Debatable, he was a court jester for a while. All his children have something to do with the mind. Zeus wondered just how was he related to his brothers, outside of the biological of course. Well, as soon as I starting entering the temple, Zeus started as he raised a foot to cross the threshold. The doors close. Hera stared at the open door and Zeus, who was half in and out. Then it closes and I can't get in. He continued as he was fully inside the temple before stepping out and the door closes behind him. Watch. Zeus began to jump in and out of his home fast, and Hera quickly made a note to get her stepchildren to get a look at Zeus. 1, 2, 3. Not me. Yelled out the children of Zeus as they tried to get the others to do it in their stead. Honey, you should probably lie down and get some sleep. Zeus stated at her before getting into position. No. I will enter the temple if it's the last thing I do today. He finished with a roar and charges. Hera watches helplessly as the god of thunder crashes through the temple and begins to fall to the moral city of New York. I wonder if Hestia wouldn't need extra food for the party. Well, you might want to share with Zeus to get him to feel better. Well, it's not too bad of a costume. Artemis ignored Zoe as she followed the goddesses on the boardwalk to the party. Zoe went on, Emma Swan and the evil queen work well together. And the children loved it. Yeah, Artie, think of the children. Don't call me Artie. Artemis snapped as she tried not to think of all the photos of her with Aphrodite kissing her cheek. Hazel blushed as well as the other demigods at the idea of those two goddesses kissing. She taped her chin as a thought came to her. I wonder if there's a fanfic based on that. I had fun. Aphrodite teased the moon as they walked alongside the water. We should do this again. Never. Oh, hello Artemis, Aphrodite, Nightshade. Turning around, the trio of women saw the god of the seas walking behind them dressed as a blood-covered Aquaman. How has your night been? Other than the event we had with the children and then being webbed up by spiders in Central Park like bondage lovers an hour ago good. Artemis hissed out as she tried not to think of how good it felt to be in the webs. Pinky. Zip it. As her cheeks warmed up. You. Achilles challenged me by killing one of my subjects, then went after me so I killed him. Aphrodite nodded her head with approval. Good. That son of Zeus should have been fin soup by Percy. Fish are friends. Percy lamely stated as the goddess of love, lord of thunder and his father looked at him. Aphrodite looked at Annabeth once the son of the seas refused to look her way. Wouldn't you like to see him bring you a meal with his body cover in sweat honey? Keep her out of this. Athena hissed as Annabeth blushed red like a tomato. But I am still happy about his death. Percy isn't ready to fight a shark armed with lightning. Artemis pouted. I would have gone after Achilles for you uncle. I haven't gone hunting in the oceans for some time. Well there is this one monster you could go after but. Uncle, she is a hunter. Fine. I'll let you know if something comes up then. Now let's go to the party. Apollo and Hermes stared as their father twitched where the statue once was, shattered by the impact of the Lord of the Skies. Looking closely Hermes noticed something. It's one of H's automation. Must be his idea of a prank. Hermes and Apollo sighed with relief. As for lighting, he looked irked at the pathetic landing of this other. Well it sucks. I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. Apollo stated as he marched off. He better have a reason why he chose to make a Doctor Who villain that kills by touch. I heard he was a fan. Really dad? Mechanical bulls aren't enough. Leo asked Hephaestus who shrugged in response as he tinkered. I'm forbidden to do more steampunk monsters after Athena got mad at me for making the ghost train with Hades. Hades frowned at the ill idea he had with the invention of the train. I thought it was a clever way to streamline the issues of the arriving dead. How was I supposed to know Thanos would take it for a joyride with Sober here? Apollo. The sun god blinked as Ares drove up with Hephaestus with I'm a Barbie girl playing. If anyone laughs. Ares growled deeply and slowly as everyone clammed up. The god of war parked his ride and smashed the speakers. We need your light. Why was that song? Ares' eyes melted as shades. Gremlins. 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 Frank asked his father who was slightly calmer. I hate those critters. I swear they have it out for me. Meanwhile at Ares' temple several short reptilian humanoids were taking apart the god of war's chariot, messing with his television recordings and clearing the fridge of food and beer. There's no such things as gremlins Ares. Athena calmly spoke as she did not want another blame a make-believe creature for her half-brother's shortcoming. Jason wanted to say something for some reason, but felt it best not to point out the irony of the goddess's statement. As for Percy his mouth was occupied with Annabeth's mouth when she abused him into a kiss. A tactic to keep him quiet of course. Yes gremlins you idiot. Hephaestus roared as he lifted the cage with the scale-covered monsters inside. The evil varmint critters. Hephaestus hissed at the sight. They were infesting my workshop and are causing havoc throughout the city. It took me and Ares hours to grab them all. Melino wondered if it was possible to get through any story without interruptions as Hephaestus and Ares began planning a war against gremlins. Blinking the sun god used his powers and killed the monsters. As they died the god asked what was on his mind. So they are the source of the problems. Yes. There shouldn't be any more problems tonight as Ares destroyed the source. Ares was all dark laughter with that line. Your son and the child of Hecate were upset I smashed their remote. Then Demeter was all too glad to punish them. Good. Naruto sipped his drink as the movie played on the screen, not worrying about what happened with all the screaming and crackling of deranged laughter of a woman. She is. Hush you, that's my mother. As you remind me each year dear. Next to him was Kyuubi and a hair critter from the movie Gremlins. Happy Halloween Kyuubi. Happy Halloween brat. What if reading Naruto Son of Hades Percy Jackson end here and thanks for watching my video till the end.